We begin tonight with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. We are just on the other side of 100 days of Donald Trump as the 47th president. So give me an idea of some of the things the House has done to try and push forward the Trump agenda, because you guys have been working hard.
We have been working hard, trying to keep up with the president. The reconciliation package, of course, is a big part of that. And that will be the vehicle where we deliver most of the America First agenda. So a lot of work's gone into this. We've been working on that package for over a year in anticipation of this moment, because we knew he was going to win another term and that we would have unified government with Republicans in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House. We cannot waste this opportunity. So there's not been a lot of rest around here.
To have the White House, to have the House, and to have the Senate, it's only happened 4 times for Republicans in the past century.
Yeah.
So how are you capitalizing on this moment? Because this is a very big deal.
So we have very small margins. We have majorities in the House and the Senate, but very small. So we have to use that efficiently and effectively. And reconciliation is the process that you can do in a partisan fashion. You can put all of your Republican conservative priorities in one bill, because you frankly don't need the Democrats to come along. And you might have noticed they're in no mood to help us out. And it's really sad, because the country needs the parties to work together and restore common sense. And that's what the Trump administration has been about.
You've been Speaker under a President Joe Biden and now under a President Donald Trump. Give me the breakdown of being Speaker under each of these different presidents.
It's like being on 2 different planets, honestly.
Wow.
I mean, President Biden, now infamously, everyone knows, he frankly was not in charge towards the end of his administration. The 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration put the country in such a terrible position. I mean, every metric of public policy was a disaster under that lack of leadership. So here comes President Trump. He comes in hot because he was ready to serve and ready to deliver and had great ideas in all these areas. But we had to make these major adjustments. We had to fix the country.
You have the Democrats on the other side who, you often see here at the Capitol, folks reaching across the aisle to try to work with one another.
Yeah.
How's that been going for you guys?
Not so great this term. I mean, they were not in any mood. And that's because it has less to do with us, more to do with them. I mean, their party's in total disarray. They're having an internal civil war right now. They have no identifiable leader. Their entire agenda has been totally repudiated by the American people. And so they really don't know where to turn. All they can do is fight back, right? And it looks like obstruction, because it is. And it doesn't matter what President Trump proposes or what we propose. They're going to be against it. And it's frustrating. We would love to work with some reasonable, sensible Democrats, but there's so few of them seemingly at this moment that want to do that.
Talk about the importance of the unity of the Republican Party as we head towards those midterms, because I think it is in stark contrast to where the Democrats are.
It is, and that's a really important contrast. The House and Senate Republicans working together seamlessly as a team. That's a real innovation. That hasn't happened very often in history. We know that that's important because the margins are so small. So we stay unified. We go into this midterm election. We can grow the majority in the House and the Senate. And my focus is the House, of course. Now, there's only 2 times in the last 90 years that a sitting president has picked up seats for his party in that first 2-year cycle after he's elected. A lot of reasons for that. But Donald J. Trump is going to make history in this way, and we are as well.
There are a lot of voices in the Republican Party. Tell me a little bit about how you navigate those waters.
Well, we have a joke around here. I'm not really Speaker of the House. I'm a mental health counselor. Look, I love all of my colleagues, genuinely. I know how they think, I know what makes them tick, and I know the dynamics of their districts. They see the same set of problems, same philosophy, but a different set of lenses on how to solve it. So the job of the Speaker and the whip and our leadership team, our majority leader, is to draw everybody together and try to find consensus so we can solve the problems. And so far, so good. Sometimes it's good to be underestimated as leader, and at the end of the day, we give God the glory for the victories.
Well, shortly after you became Speaker, your 2 sons were out swimming and nearly drowned. I wonder if you might take us through that story, because I think that was probably a bit of a life-altering moment for you.
Yeah, it was a difficult time for us, but it was about a month or so after I was elected Speaker in 2023. It was in November. Vividly remember the time frame because it was the Thanksgiving break for my boys. And at the time, I had a senior in high school, Jack, and Will, my middle school son. And they went with me on the trip to Mar-a-Lago, went down there to start raising money for the election for all my colleagues. My boys were out on the beach. They got caught in a riptide and pulled far out to sea in the Atlantic. They're great swimmers, great athletes, but this was more than they could handle. My older son went under to hold his younger brother up. almost lost his life. Both of them almost drowned. And the only reason they were saved is because a parasailor happened to be going by and see my 14, 13-year-old son at the time, his head, crying out for help. They're fine. No permanent damage, but a big scare. And as soon as we were home, phone rang. It was the president. And I'd not told him about it, but he called and he said, Mike, I can't believe, I heard what happened. He said, that's a miracle. I don't believe in luck or coincidence. I know that God saved my sons. And we talked about how that was kind of a miraculous thing. Well, fast forward to the first shooting event in Butler, Pennsylvania. I spoke to President Trump shortly after that, and I reminded him of that miraculous event with my sons down in Florida. And I said, sir, just as God saved my boys, he saved you as well. And that's not luck or coincidence, that's providence.
That's amazing. And, I think one of the things that is very known about you is how important your faith is to you. And I read a story about a miracle, speaking of miracles, that happened with your own father when you were younger that maybe contributed to how impactful faith has been in your life.
Yeah, it happened when I was 12 years old. My father was a firefighter, and he was caught in an explosion on the job, on duty, and burned 80% of his body, third-degree burns. He had about a 5% chance to live. Wow. It's a long story, a miraculous story, from how he was saved from the fire itself to how he recovered thereafter. But I learned very young at that age that faith was very real. It stuck with me my whole life, and it's a big part of what I do here every day.
And had God not intervened, Speaker Johnson's journey may have turned out very differently.
I heard that one time, had you not gotten into politics, maybe you would have been a firefighter. Is that true?
Yeah, that was my aspiration. I wanted to be the chief of the Shreveport Fire Department in Louisiana, my hometown.
Wow.
But when my dad got burned in the explosion, I was 12, the oldest of 4 kids, and they weren't so enamored with that idea. So I went to school instead and wound up here.
Did you ever think that you'd be Speaker of the House and that you'd be able to look out on your balcony like this?
No, never considered it, never aspired to it. I guess I don't grip the gavel as tightly as some previous occupants of the office did, because it wasn't ever on my bucket list, But that allows me to do what I think is the right thing, and let the chips fall where they may. And turns out that's a good formula for right now.
Guided by that formula and his faith, Speaker Johnson is moving full speed ahead.
We have big consequential legislation that has to get through Congress. And so we're going to count on the better angels of our colleagues to get this through. And I work every day on trying to build consensus, not just among Republicans, but among everybody here, because that's the job of the Speaker of the House. Even in divided times, we have to maintain that focus, and we'll continue to try to do that every single day. I believe God's given us a chance to save the country. We take that responsibility very seriously. But I'm excited about where we're headed. We're almost 250 years into this grand experiment in self-governance. But we know what it'll take to keep it. And I think we have a chance to do that, to save this republic. And President Trump is exactly the right leader at the right time to get that done.
Speaker Johnson, thanks for spending a little time with us and giving us a little insight into everything that goes on here, and into you as well. We appreciate it.
Thanks to you, and congrats on the show. It's been great.
A huge thanks to Speaker Mike Johnson.